Hey guys, my name is Jessica, Jess Murph Beauty. This is my first YouTube video. I want to give a quick shout out to my boyfriend for purchasing all this equipment for me. He's so sweet and so kind, and he really is invested in my ambitions, and I couldn't be more grateful for what he's done for me, and I took it upon myself to do this more smoky, gray toned look. So I hope you all enjoy my first video. So I'm gonna start doing my eye makeup. That's usually what I like to do first, but before I do that, I would like to prime my face. I do this just so that my primers have a chance to melt in with my skin. I'm using the NYX Tea Tree Balance Primer Elixir. I have redness around my nose and on my cheeks, and this helps to soothe the redness. First, this is the Benefit POREfessional. I get the travel size. I put this in my T-zone because that's where I get the most oily, but I also have the most pores. I'm lucky that I don't have a lot of pores that extend far out into my face. It's more so concentrated in this area and this area. So I just press that in instead of swiping. I find that patting it in is a lot better than swiping because you're distributing the product unevenly if you swipe, but when you're patting it in, you're really making sure that you press it into the skin. I like to use the Smashbox Photo Finish Primer, again in a travel size, and this will go on more these areas of my face because I don't want to move around the primer that I already put on in this area. And with Smashbox Photo Finish Primer, but the primer water, I really enjoy this. It's just expensive water, but I don't know. I see a difference. Okay, so done priming my face, so now I'm going to officially start with the eyes. I have really bushy brows, which some of you might be thinking, wow, she doesn't need to do anything with them, but I do need to comb them up. My primer, I actually just use the e.l.f. HD Lifting Concealer. This is in the shade Fair, and when I first got this, it was when I was a little bit new to makeup and I wanted a good highlighting concealer, but when I got it, it was way too dark for me. Like, you can even see it's a little bit too dark, especially when I blend it out, you'll see. But I could not use this for highlighting, and it just was sitting on my shelf and I didn't know what to use it for. So, and it's very tacky and it has good coverage, but I couldn't use it on my under eyes, so I decided to start using it as a primer. It's all blended on my eye with my finger. I take the shader brush from Sony Kashuk, cheap, get it at Target, and then I dip it into some translucent powder, and then I just cover my eye so that I don't have a lot of skipping. I tend to get a lots of skipping if I don't set this primer. It still has that tackiness underneath, so I have to set it, which is fine because then it creates an even base and is a nice way to blend all your shadows. So for eyeshadow today, I'm going to stick with the kind of gray monochromatic theme. So I'm dipping into my Tartiste. This is Tartiste Pro. This is very new. I'm sure all of you know what this is. So I'm going to take this Sony Kashuk flat synthetic brush. This is really old, but it stood up to the test of time recently, so I'm just going to keep on using it. And I use this for my brow bone highlight. I'm using the color Vintage. It's the whitest shade in the palette, and I just put that on top of my brow bone. And I kind of blend it into the upper crease area as well for blending later. I'm gonna have to like reapply this anyway, but I like to have a base so that I know where I want to place all my shadows. Then I'm going to take this Pixi 330 Pro Blending Crease Brush. This is from Crown. I'm not going to go 100% with the row that I selected with the vintage shade, but I am going to dip into Profesh as kind of like a first transition shade. Blending this all over my upper crease area. A little messy on the outside, but that's why I do my eyes first, because I always clean it up with a rag. So now I'm going to dip in to the shade Fierce. I'm going to be using this Morphe M330 brush. It's kind of like a stiffer crease brush that I like to use to kind of pack in more color. So just taking Fierce and going right in there. No harsh lines, I promise. My whole thing is just building up color and then going back in and cleaning everything up. Okay, picking up my last brush that I used and going back into Profesh and just bringing back that transition. Okay. Then I'm going to take this more pointed brush. This is the Morphe M411, and I'm going to take no filter, hashtag, and I'm gonna kind of go right underneath that crease. I really want that kind of more purpley pink tone to come through. Okay, I'm dipping into Vamp, which is the final shade in that row, and really gonna deepen up this crease. Mostly the outer V. This is a e.l.f. blending brush. I've had this for a while as well. This is one of my first like blending brushes. It's not really a blending brush. It's way too stiff. So now to blend all those shadows together, I'm just going to take this e.l.f. blending brush. It's more flat. I thought it was going to be more puffier, but it's more flat. But I like to do this just to make sure that all my shadows are blended together. Now for my lid color, I'm going to be using this very dingy, beat up e.l.f. Professional eyeshadow brush. This is also kind of flat, but it's not as fluffy. I like to use this to pack on color. And I'm just going to go into Vintage, the shadow we used in the brow bone, and I'm just going to... Wow, that's white. That's cool. Okay, we're obviously going to blend that out. Okay, so I'm just going to go back in with the e.l.f. blending brush that we used for Vamp, and I'm going to reapply that just so everything is nicely blended together. Okay, so I'm done with the eyeshadow on the top, so now I'm just going to apply the liner, just a regular way. I'm not going to go too fancy. This is the Maybelline Eye Studio, New York. Maybelline, New York. In Blackest Black. Yes, I pull at my skin. Premature wrinkles. I don't really care. I've been doing this since I was 13, so there's no way I'm gonna stop. Sorry. So I decided I'm not going to bring it all the way into the inner core of my eye, Just gonna kind of leave it like that. I think that's very editorial. I like it. The e.l.f. Professional Concealer Brush, and this is very, very tiny, more so for like spot concealing probably, but I like to use this without anything on it to kind of clean up the wing. And there we go. I'm going to curl my lashes. I'm not sure where this is from. Just a regular eyelash curler. I give this lots of tugs, and that's just because my eyelashes grow straight out and I like them to be a little bit more curly. Plus, a lot of the times I don't put on false lashes, so I try to make them look as dramatic as possible. Okay, so now I'm going to use my favorite mascara. This is the L'Oreal Waterproof Voluminous Carbon Black Mascara. I didn't want to get the waterproof, but here we are. I don't really have watery eyes. I am taking my Ardell 162 Black. These are wispies. And I'm just going to show you guys how I apply my false lashes. I have struggled with false lashes because I don't wear them every day. I'm a student, so for the most part, all that I can do is just mascara and just run out the door. Duo lash glue. I heard good things about this, and every glue that has come with eyelash packs has been terrible, so I decided to just listen to what the drag queens say and just use Duo. And then and just pop it in the center. And then I don't move my eye at all. And then I just kind of use my tweezer to connect to the inner and outer corners as best as possible. Okay, so I applied my other lash off camera just to save time, and now I'm going to get into my face. What I first like to do is, because I personally feel like I have very dark circles, so I like to take my NARS Creamy Concealer in the shade Vanilla, and I like to put this before my foundation. Just in this area. Because it is a more pink shade, which is good to color correct the darkness. And when I bought this online, it was just too pink for me to highlight with. So I figured this would be good as a way to cover up dark circles and not waste my money. So for my foundation, I'm going to be using the NARS Sheer Glow in Gobi. But before that, I want to spray my face a little bit with the Pixi Makeup Fixing Mist with rose water and green tea. This is really good for treating the skin, and I like to use this before my foundation, just to kind of dew up the skin a little bit and add some more hydration to it. One thing you want to make sure with foundations is to always shake them. I always run the risk of using them before I'm shaking them, and then my foundation gets cakey throughout the day and doesn't work as well coverage wise. It kind of sits on the skin weird. I use a Real Techniques sponge. This is already a little bit damp. And then I apply it directly. I kind of just press it into these three areas. And I blend on this side first because my redness is more concentrated in this area, so I want to make sure I get the most coverage here. and I kind of blend it out in a circle. Moving into my chin. And then going on this side and blending this side. Blend down the neck. This makes me look like a ghost. But I am a ghost, so. For concealer, my actual highlighting concealer, I really enjoy the Maybelline Age Rewind because I really like this applicator. It covers a lot of space and it doesn't really move the foundation around. So I just generously apply it in an upside down triangle like everybody else does. And this concealer creases fairly quickly, so I like to first blend out the high points of my face in the center and then move on to the under eyes. So just starting, like I said, in the center of the face, moving down onto my nose, chin, and then blending out the under eye. And I like to keep my face kind of face downwards just so I don't get any creasing. And I like to blend from the outside in, if you couldn't tell, from downward up to the crease. Again, to prevent more creasing. Starting down on the outside, and moving my way in. Quickly dipping this beauty sponge back into my translucent powder. I use the RCMA No Color Powder. And I just quickly press that in. And I'm going to bake my under eyes with this. I always do this because when I just set it with translucent powder, or I take a setting powder and put it underneath, it never looks as good. It always looks patchy and dry and cakey. So I do bake my under eyes with this. But the rest of the face is fine, and I just set it normally. It's NYX stippling brush. I've been doing this a lot more recently, just because it's quicker. And make sure I put a rag on my my clothes so that it doesn't get all messy. Then I dip it into the powder, and then I just kind of stipple it on all over. And this is going to make me a bit more matte, but the foundation isn't going to get exceedingly dry. And the RCMA powder is for dry skin anyway, so I've heard. I think the Laura Mercier translucent powder is more for oily skin types, but I don't have that kind of money. The RCMA No Color Powder was $10, so I think my face is nicely set. So I'm going to leave that bake on, and then I'm going to go in with this very fluffy Real Techniques fluffy brush, the orange, and I'm going to take, this is actually a pressed powder by e.l.f. in the color Sand. It doesn't pick up the most pigment, which I like because I don't like to bronze too much in the winter time, but it adds a nice little bit of color to the skin. Okay, now for contouring. I've had this for a while. This is well-known Anastasia Beverly Hills Contour Kit, light to medium, and this is a powder contour kit. It is the middle shade. Don't know exactly what color that is. That could be Java, could be Havana, because those are the other two colors in there. But this is more neutral, and it goes very well with this look because it's not too harsh. And this is a e.l.f. blush brush, but I use it for contouring because it's more narrow. I don't like to do blush that's narrow. I feel like you could get streaky really fast, Neapolitan looking. Lightly dusting it on my temples. Okay, so now that I'm pretty much done with my contour, I don't like a really strong contour because I just feel like it's too extra. So now I'm going to go into blush. I'm going to be dipping into two blushes. This is Smashbox blush in Passion. And then this is the e.l.f. blush palette. I'm going to be using that little peachy shade. Sorry for that. Lighting. And this is a crown brush. It's the SS013 angle brush. So I'm just going to lightly dab it on my cheeks. I do have a lot of redness, so I don't like to go too heavy on blush anyway. I will do maybe 1 to 2 swipes into the pigment. I always love the little smile that girls do when they do these little tutorials. Okay, so before I do my highlight, I want to wipe off my bake, just so nothing gets too messy. So for that, I like to dip into 2 colors, especially with this lighter foundation that I use. I dip into the banana shade in the same contour kit, which I just hit pan on, which is kind of depressing. And then I also use the Maybelline Fit Me Set and Smooth in 115 Ivory. So I kind of use those two, and I wipe away the bake gently, and then I press. Press. Pat in. You don't want to sweep too much once the bake is gone because you don't want to take away any of the product that you place down. Just want to make sure that everything melts together. And this is the e.l.f. small tapered brush. And it's lovely for getting right up underneath the eye. No more dark circles. How lovely. So now I'm going to take more of the powders, and then I'm just going to go lightly underneath my contour just to sharpen it because I don't feel like baking right now. So now I'm going to highlight, and for highlight today I'm going to be using the Morphe M510 and dipping into the only highlighters that I have, which is from the Glow Kit, That Glow by Anastasia, which is very good, like awesome highlighters. Dip into Sunburst and a little bit of Bubbly as well. And then on my nose, down the bridge of the nose a little bit, and then my Cupid's bow, and then my chin a little bit, just to bring some more glow back to the face. And then what I like to do is go on the temples a bit, not too much, but just so that there's some dimension there. So now to go back to the eyes, I'm going to be taking this Marc Jacobs, it's an eyeliner, it's a black eyeliner. So to finish it off, I'm going to basically go through the same shadows that I used on the top. I'm going to be using Vamp from the Tarte palette, the dark color in that second row. Is going to be concentrating that on the outer edge with this e.l.f. Professional liner brush. Now to move on, I'm going to be using is the C163 Oval Fluff / Crease. It's a duo-ended brush, and this top part is used for packing on color. It's synthetic, and then this part is more pointed and small, so I like to use this for defining the under eye. I'm going to go into Fierce. I'm going to skip No Filter. I'm just going to go straight into Fierce, and I'm going to kind of blend out that first shade and kind of bring it more inward. This is again the Morphe M411, and I'm going to clean that off just a bit, use all the time, and I'm going to dip into Profesh, and then just kind of go a little bit under where I put those two shadows, and just make sure that it's all blended. So now I'm just going to grab the first brush that I used, the synthetic one from Sony Kashuk, and I'm going to dip back into my Tartiste Pro palette, and I'm going to go in with Vintage and just place that shadow back. So for brows, it's very simple. Like I said, I don't have a lot to do. I don't have many sparse areas in my brows. Most of the time I just run a clear brow mascara through them. And that's it, I'm done for the day. But I decided to show you guys what I do happen to do when I want to go a little bit extra. So I actually use an eyeshadow. I don't really have that many brow products, but I use a dark shadow, so for this I'm gonna, no, Punk. Okay, so I just take this small angled brush by e.l.f. and I run that here, because I don't have much of an arch. I'm going to set them with a clear brow and eyelash mascara. I don't like the eyelash mascara, but I do like the eyebrow one. This is from e.l.f. by the way, if you couldn't read the label. I don't know, I feel like paying a lot of money for a clear gel is just a gimmick. Tinted ones I can understand, like paying a certain amount of money for it, but this works just as well, and it's like hairspray for my brows. They don't move. This is the NYX Liquid Suede, and there are a lot of mixed reviews about this, but I seem to enjoy it, so. This is the color Sandstorm. It's kind of taupey brown. So I'm just going to set my face now with the same Pixi by Petra Makeup Fixing Mist. Like so. And this is the finished look. Matches my dress that I'm going to be wearing. I'm just going to be hanging out with my boyfriend tonight. Going over the footage, I guess. Thank you for watching. There will be probably some more dramatic looks that I will be doing, but also try to do more natural looks. I love color. I love smoky eyes. I love doing cool things with makeup, so you'll be seeing a lot of different looks from me. I'm trying to add some festivity to YouTube. Playing with my hair too much. But yeah, thank you so much for watching my first video, and I look forward to seeing you all again. Bye!